Welcome to the Book of Gray, and this is chapter 3, which I'm calling Golden. It's style number 51626. Now, there's a pattern to my madness, so if you want to see more of my work, visit me at thegraybutton.com. All right, that madness that I'm talking about is when I start a project, I never know what I'm doing or what I'm trying to do. I literally kind of look at the fabric that I ultimately will be working with, and then I try to picture something, in that fabric. And then I just throw muslin up here and kind of just go with it. So I did this little top because I guess my concept was I know it's about to be hot and I don't really want to wear a lot of clothes, but I don't want to really show anything too revealing. I just want to wear the least amount of clothes possible. So this is like a really small crop top, and it's very simple. It's going to fasten in the front, and it's like a wrap around the bust area, and then just a simple back with spaghetti straps. So very simple. So this is me draping it. Nothing fancy. There's one dart, as you can see here. And I'm just pinning the back to the front bodice. Like, this is very simple. Obviously, I'm cutting along the style line of how I'm thinking I want that neckline to look. But until I get used to my dress form and how it relates to my body, to be honest, since it's been so long since I've been making anything for myself, I kind of have a starting point on my dress form, and then I do a mock-up, and then I'm able to actually put that sample on my body and then see how it works out in terms of where those like style lines hit, like specifically like the neckline. Because as I'm looking at it now, when it was on that dress form, the neckline shoulder area seemed like it was just really, really high. So I didn't see that in real time. I didn't see that really until I sewed up the sample and actually put it on my body, which you'll see here in a second. So what I'm doing here is I'm actually just literally pinning exactly what I took off the mannequin together, and I'm just smoothing out the lines so that they are connecting properly and they're balanced and they're not just, wonky, curvy lines that will not sew properly. Because all you're really doing is like sewing shapes together. So you want to make sure that your puzzle actually makes sense. So that's what I'm doing at this point. So that first part that you saw me do was the actual neckline, and then it's the armhole. Actually, I'm lying. That first part you saw me do was the armhole, and then it was the neckline because I see the dart there. I'm just marking the dart. There we go. So I'm adding a 1/2 of an inch seam allowance around everything except for the neckline. That's about 1/4 of an inch. And again, this is the anticipated neckline. So obviously I'm at home, so I am sewing up my sample, and I'm gonna put it on the dress form so I can look at it and see if it just looks weird. And let me just make this note. My dress form is bigger than me, so once I have it on me, I can make my like alterations kind of. So this is me realizing I don't like how high it is up on my shoulder, and so I want to bring it down because what's the goal on this dress? To wear the least amount of clothes possible. Like, it is hot in Alabama, so I wanted this to be, I could feel like I don't have much on, but I'm fully covered. So, sorry I'm out of focus. But now that I have that first sample, I went ahead and came over to the studio. I didn't get this part on tape, but I transferred all of my pattern, muslin pattern, over to paper. Make sure things were balanced. Sewed up another sample, and then I'm arriving here to where that sample fit nicely. I did my alterations, and sorry I didn't get that on tape, but at this point I was in between a couple other projects, and I was just trying to get it done, especially this particular day. We were very, very busy. So I did the second sample. It fit good. And so I am now ready. As you can see, I'm sewing up the actual garment. And right here, this is the spaghetti straps, which I kind of struggled, as you can see, but they turned out nicely. And I did them on a bias. I cut them on a bias. All right, so this is like my favorite part when you're actually sewing the garment, because now you can get like the vibe of what you're making. It's like really coming to life. So this is something, if you're a sewer, you already know this, but pressing along the way is like really important. And I'm gonna be honest, I didn't do the best job pressing because I was more concerned with, before I get too far, let me just check these areas, and then I do like a simple press, and then at the end I go in and press like really well. Okay, and this right here, I sewed on the waistband, and I realized in order to serge, I needed some more, like a foundation to that material, because it was not serging properly, and it was like really pissing me off. So I went back and added some fusing so that I could finish off the waistband. And to be honest, I probably should have just like done it more nicely instead of just a serged edge, but if you're going to be honest, I was being lazy. So there you go. This is what I did. So now I'm just pinning the waistband down because I'm getting ready to go sew in the ditch, which is sewing right in that seam, so you can't really see it from the outside, but it closes and secures your waistband facing on the underside. So that's what I'm doing here, just to kind of finish out this project. And then we'll be ready to try it on the dress form and see how it goes. So the next morning, this is me trying it on at home, because she's more this size than my dress form at the studio. And like I said, this garment fits me. I'm smaller than my form, so she wouldn't close. I didn't realize that. So she wouldn't close all the way, so I just kind of pinned it on there. So it's not particularly hanging right, but you'll get the point. And then I'll show a couple of pictures here at the end. Thanks for watching this chapter of my fashion journal.